And Gabe, you've been talking to U.S. officials. What are you learning about this potential deal?
Well, hi there, Anna. Good morning. Well, U.S. officials have been stressing for days now that any potential deal is not a deal until it's all done. And we heard that from a spokesman for the National Security Council yesterday. But I can tell you, Anna, just this morning, a potential hostage deal, as you've been describing, has been taking shape. And we are hearing that from a senior U.S. official, also from an official familiar with the talks in the region. And these are the outlines of this deal. Again, as Keir mentioned, subject to Israeli approval, with the Israeli government convening its war cabinet in the next few hours, followed by convening its full cabinet. Now, the sources say that as it stands now, the tentative deal would include around 50 women and children hostages being exchanged for around 150 Israeli-held Palestinian prisoners in a first phase. Of course, those numbers are subject to change, but if, the sources also say that there would also be a potential pause in the fighting for around 4 or 5 days, and if the temporary ceasefire does hold and everyone abides by it, there could be the potential for more hostage releases in the coming days. Now, we're also learning some more details, Anna, from these sources from one of the sources, the one familiar with the talks in the region, that it would be Israel that would choose which Palestinian prisoners it would release pending a security check. The source also said that the deal would include a suspension of overhead drone flights so that Hamas could consolidate its hostages. Of course, Anna, as we know, U.S. officials have said now for weeks that they believe that there are some hostages that are not being held by Hamas and potentially held by other groups, including the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Over the course of this, and if there was a pause in fighting, the expectation would be that Hamas would consolidate those hostages. The sources also described that there would be more humanitarian aid going into the region. That would include as many as 300 to 400 trucks of humanitarian aid per day. Now, Anna, this is something that has been a point of contention for quite some time. The necessity, according to Palestinian officials, that more fuel was needed in the Gaza Strip in order to be provided to the hospitals and more humanitarian aid. So as part of this potential deal, the expectation would be that more fuel would flow into the Gaza Strip. But again, that breaking news that we are learning, Anna, the potential of a deal that would include around 50 Hamas hostages exchanged for around 150 Palestinian prisoners. But U.S. officials once again do stress that this deal could fall apart at any time, and it still needs to be approved by the Israeli government, as Keir mentioned, that government meeting over the coming hours, Anna.
Right, and we are looking at live pictures right now in Gaza. Clearly no ceasefire yet, as we see that black smoke rising. We had heard sirens also in the background of some of the cameras that we have access to. Gabe, this 11 a.m. war cabinet meeting will be something we're all watching very closely. We understand Israel's full cabinet will meet at 1 p.m. Eastern, so the next few hours could bring huge developments. What do we know about the White House's role in these talks?
Well, certainly the White House, has been involved in these talks including with Qatar over the last few weeks. And, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said yesterday that this has been a very, an hour-by-hour involvement from the White House trying to secure the release of these hostages as the pressure really has mounted around the world for more information. But the White House has been very involved in this. Yesterday, President Biden was asked whether he believed that a hostage deal was near, and he said, "I believe so." And he held up his fingers and crossed his fingers, hoping that this could happen at any time. Now, we also understand from a former former administration official, that there was some potential that this deal could have been announced several days ago, but that did not come to fruition. And again, it speaks to just how cautious U.S. officials have been about describing, any part of this deal and really getting into details, because it is so tenuous. And again, we're awaiting now the approval of the Israeli government to see if, in fact, this deal does come to fruition, Anna.